Picture this. You're 3 weeks from a roadmap review. You've got a hypothesis about your next big feature. Maybe it's an AI-assisted triage flow. Maybe it's a documentation shortcut for your clinical users. You open up one of your AI apps. You describe the idea. You ask what it thinks. It tells you the idea is strong. It validates your logic. It generates a requirements outline that looks sharp. You feel good. You move forward. What you didn't know is that you just consulted with a system that is statistically optimized to agree with you. Researchers tested 11 of the most widely used AI models and found that they agree with the user, even when the user is wrong. 50% more than a human peer would. This has a name. It's called sycophancy. I think I'm saying that right. And in healthcare product management, where bad decisions don't just miss revenue targets, they reach patients. So this is not a minor UI quirk. It is a structural risk of how you are building. Here's the mechanism, and it's worth understanding because it changes how you should be using these tools. Most major AI models are trained using a process called reinforcement learning from human feedback. The model generates a response. A human rates it. The higher the rating, the more the model is rewarded for producing responses like that one. The signal the model learned very quickly is that validation gets a thumbs up. Agreement gets a thumbs up. Challenge and pushback, even accurate, necessary pushback, it tends to get rated lower. So, over millions of training examples, these models became extraordinarily good at one thing, telling you what you want to hear. The researchers didn't stop at measuring agreement rates. They measured user response to sycophantic AI versus honest AI. People rated the sycophantic model as higher quality. They trusted it more, they preferred it, which means that the market is actually selecting for AI that flatters over AI that is honest. So I found that to be really insightful. Now think about what that means for healthcare product management, especially those of us who are using AI to stress test a requirement document, prioritize a backlog, or build a case for clinical workflow change. You're not getting an independent review. You're getting a highly sophisticated mirror. The AI is not validating your thinking. It's reflecting it back at you with better grammar. So I use AI in my product work almost every day for drafting user stories, for synthesizing clinical stakeholder interviews, for mapping regulatory requirements against feature scope, for pressure testing business cases. It has compressed work that used to take days into hours. I'm not here to tell you stop using it, because I certainly am not. But I've watched experienced product leaders, people with strong clinical intuition and solid track records, walk into roadmap reviews with AI-generated analysis that had never been seriously challenged. And it showed. The outputs looked polished. The logic held together on the surface, but the underlying assumptions had never been stress tested because the tool they used to build the analysis was basically incapable of stress testing anything. Here are 5 rules that I've been following so that AI stays a force multiplier and doesn't quietly become the thing making decisions for me. Rule number 1 is assign it the role of the critic, not the collaborator. The default AI session for most product managers looks like this. It's something like maybe, here's my feature idea, help me flesh it out. That's a collaborator prompt. The AI will build on what you've given it and not challenge it. Let's flip it. Let's make it the critic now. Saying something like in the prompt, here's my proposed feature. I need you to argue against it. What would a skeptical chief medical officer say? Or what would clinical workflow assumptions am I making that might be wrong? What does this break, or where does it break rather, under real-world hospital conditions. So try to break your model using AI. If the AI session feels like momentum, like things are coming together smoothly, you are almost certainly not getting an honest assessment. Productive friction is a signal that the tool is actually working for you and not against you. Rule number 2 is never ship the first output. So the first response is the average. It's synthesized from the most common framing of the problem, which in healthcare usually means that it's missing the operational nuance, the clinical edge case, the regulatory wrinkle that will actually define your build. Rounds maybe 3 through 5 are where the useful work happens. Push it each time and maybe push it farther than you normally would. Saying something like, that requirement is too generic. What does this look like specifically for a mid-sized ambulatory network? Add the failure mode. What happens when the clinician ignores this alert? That sounds like a vendor marketing copy. Things like that. Rewrite it with skepticism of someone who's been through maybe 3 failed EHR implementations. Your job isn't to accept outputs. It's to interrogate them until they are genuinely valuable and useful. Rule number 3 is treat every cited fact as unverified until proven otherwise. Check the facts. This one carries particularly a lot of weight in healthcare. There's AI models that are hallucinating. They will cite clinical studies that don't even exist at all. They will quote regulatory guidance that has been superseded or maybe misread. They will present fabricated statistics about clinician adoption rates, patient outcomes, or market sizing, with the same confident tone that they use for facts that are completely accurate. So, in a general productivity context, this is an embarrassment. In healthcare context, it can mean the difference in building a product on a false clinical premise or making a compliance argument that collapses the moment the real regulatory people and experts look at it. So the rule here is any specific claim that enters a requirement document, a business case or a stakeholder presentation, or your collateral materials, it gets verified against primary sources, not another AI summary. It is a primary source only. If you cannot verify it, it doesn't go in. Rule number 4 is use it to surface structure, not to make the call, because you are the one making the call. One of the most dangerous AI prompts in product management is, what should we prioritize? That question hands your judgment, your clinical context, your stakeholder relationships, your knowledge of the organization's risk tolerance to the general system with no skin in the game. This is the lazy man's way out, but it will get you into trouble fast. I promise. The better version of what to ask in an AI tool is, what are the variables that should drive this prioritization decision? What are the cause and effect relationships between clinical adoption and this feature set? What does the evidence say about where friction typically emerges in this type of workflow? Use AI to build the map. Build the map together, but you navigate it because you are the one responsible for it. The decision, especially in healthcare, where the decision has downstream consequences for real patients and real care teams, it stays with the person who has accountability for it, and that is you. Rule number 5 is run every output through a clinical reality check. Get your clinical experts involved. AI does not work in hospitals. It never sat in a clinical huddle. It never watched an ED nurse navigate 4 systems at once, or has seen what happened to a carefully designated workflow when it hits until that's understaffed on a Tuesday night. So before any AI-generated requirement, user story, or feature specification reaches your clinical stakeholders, run it through a simple filter. Does this reflect how clinical care actually works, or how a model thinks that care should work? That means pairing AI output with real user research. with clinical interviews, with observational sessions in the environments your product will actually live in. AI can accelerate your synthesis. It cannot, I repeat, it cannot replace the signal that comes from direct clinical observation. Most industries can absorb a certain amount of AI-assisted bad judgment. Healthcare product management cannot. When a roadmap prioritization is wrong, care teams get a tool that creates friction instead of reducing it. When a requirement is built on a hallucinated clinical assumption, the product gets to implementation and falls apart, and it's a disaster. When a business case is evaluated and validated by a system designed to validate everything, leadership makes resource decisions on a foundation that was never real. So you're creating this mirage. Create real products that people actually want to use. The product manager who uses AI well in the space won't be the ones who use it the most. They'll be the ones who treat it with the same critical discipline that applies to every other data source. Useful, potentially powerful, but never unquestioned. You always have to question. You question people, right? So why are we not questioning AI? AI is not your clinical expert. It is not your regulatory counsel. It is not your proxy for a clinician who will actually use what you build. It's a tool, a genuinely powerful one, but a tool that is optimized to agree with you is only as good as the quality of the thinking that you bring to it. So bring better thinking, ask better questions. That is going to be your advantage. So if this reframed how you're thinking about AI in your product work or how you're using it, share this video with someone on your team who's maybe leaning on it a little too heavily or is learning right now. They probably need the conversation. I publish on healthcare product strategy, AI and clinical product development, and what it actually takes to build in this space each and every week. Subscribe, share if that is the work that you are doing and interested in. So we will see you all on the next video.